big questions that looms over all of this is the question about the intelligence piece. Intelligence failure gets thrown around with obvious questions swirling about how this full-fledged, long-planned, coordinated, brutal surprise attack happened, waged by Hamas terrorists by air, land, and sea. How and when it was missed, with Israeli officials saying their advanced intel never detected a specific warning of something like this. And the United States now discussing enhancing intelligence sharing with the Israeli government to support the response. Meanwhile, over on Capitol Hill, the chaos in the speakerless House, leaderless and effectively paralyzed on everything from emergency legislation to whether or not the interim speaker will be able to receive speaker-level classified briefings. We do know that in its limited capacity, members can still be briefed, with the House Intel Committee holding a classified briefing today. Joining our coverage, ranking member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Democratic Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut, and also our friend, the former Assistant Director for Counterintelligence at the FBI, Frank Figliuzzi. Congressman, what do you understand sort of the last best intelligence about Hamas's capabilities to do anything like what they did on Saturday morning?
Well, it's still early days, Nicole, and obviously there will be very substantial autopsies done both by the Israelis over what was a spectacular intelligence failure, but also why we didn't pick up more signs. Our intelligence community, of course, has been worried about Hamas for a long time. They make assessments on a regular basis about what they may not be doing, but the notion that, air, land, and sea, gliders and, rigid rubber boats and, 70 or 80 penetrations of the Gaza wall, that is not something that doesn't get planned without an awful lot of people knowing it. So I will tell you that both our intelligence community and I think the Israelis are stunned by the failure, and they're also stunned by the operational capability of Hamas. No one ever underestimated Hamas's capability, but I'm not sure that anybody realized that something of this magnitude could be concealed from what are probably the two finest intelligence communities on the planet.
With our new understanding of Hamas's capabilities, does it change anything for us, Congressman?
Well, as we speak, Hamas's capabilities are being obliterated, and that doesn't mean they can't build them up, and that doesn't mean that there's still a very substantial risk that, elements in the West Bank or Hezbollah to the north in Lebanon might get involved. That would make this already awful situation even worse. But Hamas itself has suffered tremendously in terms of military losses that the Israelis have inflicted. And, I would bet that the Israelis will not pause here until they can remove Hamas as a threat to their nation. This is, as all the Israelis I have spoken to have said, this is very different from anything that they've seen before, whether it was, pickup truck incursions or whatever. This was very different, and they will respond very differently than they have in the past to Hamas's terrorist activities.
Congressman, what is your understanding of the role that Iran played?
Well, that's still very much up in the air at one level. So Iran has, of course, been supporting and training and helping and providing funds to Hamas for a very long time. So their hands are, at best, very, very dirty here. But it's still very much up in the air. We're getting conflicting information about whether the Iranian leadership was aware, whether they provided consent, advice. So it's still, I know that there's reporting in the Wall Street Journal. It's still too early to know for sure.
What are your concerns about the political paralysis on the other side of the aisle?
Well, of course I'm concerned. This is precisely the wrong moment to not have a Speaker of the House for a whole bunch of reasons. But I can also tell you that while sadly Ukraine aid has become politically controversial around here, Israeli aid to Israel in the face of these just obscene attacks is not at all controversial. It's not at all partisan. And I would tell you that, this is an untested moment with respect to Patrick McHenry, but I do know that on a bipartisan basis, the House would assent, I think, to McHenry being able to do what he needs to do to make sure that the United States is standing by Israel in a very comprehensive way.
I know you can't share anything that's classified or that gets at how we will protect ourselves, how Israel protects itself. But what sort of, after action takes place when an intelligence failure that again, seems like just seems unfathomable, right? This was so low tech in so many ways, went completely undetected. What does that look like inside? And I understand this is inside Israel's intelligence agency, but they're a close ally, an extraordinary level of intelligence sharing. What does that look like? What questions are they asking?
Well, you know, an awful lot of people, of course, are calling this Israel's 9/11, and I think there's a lot of reasons why the situation is different from what the United States experienced in 9/11. But in 9/11, you had a massive intelligence failure. Despite, you know, the most expensive intelligence community in the world, we were caught unawares. You'll recall what happened after 9/11. You know, we put together a bipartisan commission. It spent years studying the failures. It produced a report, both unclassified and classified, with all kinds of recommendations, many of which were implemented. I would absolutely assume that the Israelis are going to undertake an effort at least of that magnitude.